What's up, guys, and welcome back to the JP and Trav show on the JP and Trav YouTube channel. As always, it's your host with the most, JP. To my right, I have my esteemed co-host, brother, and friend, Travis J. Davison. Travis, how you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm great. I fully expected today to be kind of the down part, or at least kind of the valley of some of the portal emotions after the highs, the peaks of Jade Knott and Jake Michaela signing, just announced by the official account, not even a commitment, or anything, just boom, just announced by the official account as signed. I was expecting a little more action today. I won't lie. I expected more into the portal. I think I texted Parker in the middle of the day and was like, man, it's kind of weird because I did 3 hours of radio today in the afternoon, and usually by the end of the day, you get that type of things, especially right when the portal opens. Obviously, we had some kind of down roster movement, but yeah, so still riding the high, I guess. Nothing has been able to knock me off the ledge quite yet, and I'm excited to get at least a half hour from our buddy Parker.
Yes. Welcome into the show, one Parker Thune, man. How you doing, bro?
Doing great, fellas. Hope the same is true for y'all.
Hey, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I'm feeling good. I feel like Sooner Nation is probably feeling, at least a decent amount of good, seeing as we see Trav's little name there. I live for the different names he comes with every week. Nagy #1 fan, so I feel like Jim Nagy's been doing a great job so far. But what's your take on that, Park?
Man, you felt Jim Nagy's impact at Oklahoma pretty immediately, didn't you? I mean, that this was really going to be his first true litmus test, and it's far from over, right? It's far from over. But the very fact that before the portal window officially opened, Oklahoma snagged one of the top interior offensive linemen and arguably the top overall offensive player in the spring portal cycle. Jaden Ott certainly has a case in that regard. I mean, this is what you hired Jim Nagy to do. You hired Jim Nagy to aid in these splash additions via the portal. Most specifically, obviously, that there's plenty of time left on the 2026 recruiting calendar for this class to take shape. And certainly there's some work to be done in that area. Oklahoma only has 4 commits in the 2026 cycle right now. But the first real litmus test for Jim Nagy was going to be, what can you do in the spring portal window? And thus far, he is passing with flying colors.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, though, because I think one of the main questions is going forward, it was an early one in the portal, and really when Riley was still head coach, it was, what's the balance going to be, right? Is it going to be heavy high school? Is it going to be heavy portal? I think early on, especially in that Caleb Williams class, if you all remember, very small class, because a lot of people, Ronnie lives in my neighborhood, I found out the other day, so he very much could be at my front door. Anyways, like with that, I think we now reset again, because Riley was, really to his credit, trying to get out ahead of the game and saying, hey, the new world is transfer portal, not heavy high school. And then Brent Venables says, hey, we're always going to be a heavy high school program. We want to develop from high school. Now, with Nagy kind of running the acquisition here, is like, what is that going to look like? Obviously, he wants to develop like anybody else, and understanding that high school will probably come at a cheaper price than a lot of portal. But I don't know what that final product looks like. If he keeps on building through the portal, then I don't know. A small class, do they really make a run during the season like they want to? Because from what I've been told, they're still going to pursue Hatton all the way up until signing day. They think they've got a lot of prospects that are waiting until they see how the fall goes, because they know that Brent Venables is squarely on the hot seat, right? There's a lot of pressure on this entire staff to get the job done. So, with that, I don't know. I don't know what his theory is in building out the perfect roster as it relates to high school versus portal.
Yeah, well, and in that regard, I think objective number one is get through 2025, right? We know that if this staff doesn't win in 2025, there's a good chance the house gets cleaned in advance of 2026. So they have absolutely got to win in 2025. And the way you win in 2025 is you add some serious ammunition via the transfer portal. That's right. Oklahoma didn't need a game-changing running back. It's not like you felt a sense of desperation there going into the spring window. Oh, Oklahoma's absolutely got to have an upgrade at running back. But guess what? Jim Nagy looked around, listened, and decided, you know what? Sounds like Jaden Ott's going to be on the market. He could be our RB1. Let's go grab him. They had the funds to do it. They made it happen. And that should, I think when you look at the landscape of college football right now, I don't know that there is a program that upgraded at quarterback and at running back in the collective backfield between those two positions from one year to the next, more so than Oklahoma from 2024 to 2025. I mean, think about it. There was a point, right? There was a point at which Oklahoma's starting quarterback and running back in 2024 were Jackson Arnold and Taylor Tatum. And now you're thinking about John Mateer and Jaden Ott going into 2025, having those being your backfield tandem. That's something to get excited about. And so when you look ahead to 2025 at this point, it feels like Oklahoma is getting very, very close to having a roster that is devoid of any substantial weaknesses. Certainly, there are rooms that you don't expect to be elite. Right? I don't know who Oklahoma could add right now at tight end to make that room elite, but they could certainly add somebody to improve the bottom line and make it more respectable. And provided they do that, provided they bring them in another wide receiver for the sake of depth, that point feels like you have all of your bases covered as far as needs. And it's about what do we have left to spend and what do we want? What luxuries can we afford? Maybe that's another linebacker. Maybe that's a kicker, which is something that Oklahoma is exploring right now, is bringing in another kicker. They're going to need a cornerback. That's certainly a need, no question about it. And so we'll see where it goes. But Jaden Ott and Jake Michael, a huge first step in just improving your overall product for 2025 specifically. You can cross the bridge that is 2026 and beyond once you get through 2025.
So let me ask both of you guys this. It's something that we talked about a few weeks ago, Trav, and when we had a couple other guests on. But now with these portal additions in particular, what is the outlook for the Sooners win total? Like what are you putting it at?
I expect this program to win 8 games minimum in 2025. I feel like with this roster, and here's the great thing about it, right? As you improve, as you continue to stack talent, especially in the portal, you feel better about the outlook, certainly, but the excuses start to disappear.
Yeah.
The excuses are rapidly beginning to disappear for this program. And I think that's a good thing, right? Like, I think at this point, if you're an Oklahoma fan, you can look at that product right now that the Sooners are going to put on the field in 2025, and we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know for a fact what it's going to look like, but you're a heck of a lot more confident in it than the product that you were sending out there in 2024, even before all of the midseason injuries. At the start of the season, there was apprehension regarding the injuries that had already been piling up on top of one another, as well as just the lack of star power on the offensive line. And so this product, this overall roster heading into the 2025 season certainly generates some excitement, makes you feel like, especially as I mentioned, just the reality that there are no conspicuous areas of great weakness. There might be one right now at tight end. You have that shored up throughout the portal cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel like there's really no reason why Oklahoma shouldn't be competitive in the SEC and win 8-9 games. And maybe 8 games sounds modest in some folks' minds. Maybe that sounds not good enough, but you're in the SEC now, right? This is not the Big 12, and so you gotta put the attainable Big 12 goals out of your mind, because the harsh reality is you're not winning 11 games year in and year out in the SEC. Nobody is. Nobody has, except for Saban's Alabama. And all apologies to Brent Venables and everybody else in that building, but I don't think it's a hot take to say that Oklahoma is not set up over the next 15 years to be Nick Saban's Alabama, because no one is.
I don't think there's a hot take at all.
Wow. Parker bringing the heat, saying OU's going to stink for the next 15 years. Wow. Kind of a bummer you said that on our channel and not OU Insiders. But no, I agree. But I think it's interesting because, adding a run game, an elite running back, helps your defense, right? It elevates your defense. It keeps the clock running. It keeps the offense on the field for longer. Theoretically, if you're able to move the chains on the ground, right, shortens games, shortens the amount of snaps the defense will have to take. I think with these two additions, as it always does, it depends on the offensive line. But I'm actually confident in the offensive line. I know. I'm glad, hopefully, most of you are sitting down. Travis is confident about something, mysterious about the Oklahoma Sooners. But I'm the resident Sunshine Pumper, is what it is. I just think with the Mikla addition, you're going to elevate the center position, whether he earns a starting job or he just pushes Troy Everett to be the best version of Troy Everett that you're going to get. You've got plenty of bodies at guard now where competition will make the cream rise to the top, right? Is it going to be Fabechi Wiwu? Is it going to be EPL, right? Is it going to be, Daniel Akinkumi? Is it going to be Hito Zaida? Is it going to be all these different names that are fighting for these spots? And then at tackle, my goodness, you've got both Jakes back healthy. You've got Logan Howland, who got a lot of great experience in the SEC last year. Simmons had a great spring. Now you've got Fasusi and Foje rolling up and turning a lot of heads. So I just think you have a lot more answers on the offensive line now and a lot more competition to make that group better and better. It can't be worse than it was last year. So if you already are better at offensive coordinator, you're better at quarterback, you're better at running back, you're better at offensive line. I mean, I think that I feel really good about my over 6.5 bet that I made when they opened when the win total opened at 6.5. I feel better about that than I ever have, because again, to Parker's point earlier, there's not a lot of obvious holes. There's not a lot of obvious, weaknesses on this team, especially as you continue to build it. Now, Parker, you say they've got to add a corner. What quality of corner do you think they can get based on if Gentry's healthy, he's going to be very hard to beat out, and Eli Bowen's coming off a freshman All-American season? Like, what's the sales pitch to a corner, and what do you think the budget is for a corner?
I mean, hey, the sales pitch, I think the sales pitch will probably be come here and level up. I would imagine they're probably looking for a G5 corner with experience, somebody like a Des Malone, for instance. Ideally not Des Malone himself. You'd like to get somebody that is a little stronger overall and certainly a little faster than Des Malone. But I think that's probably the sales pitch. And as far as what you're willing to pay him, man, that's kind of dictated by what you have left, I guess, especially once you add a tight end. Tight end feels to me like the most glaring, obvious. Okay, you need somebody here. You need another tight end. Outside of that, I think once you pay your tight end, whoever that may be, the majority of whatever sum you have left can be committed to a cornerback. Ideally, like I said, probably a guy that's at the G5 level right now, willing to bet on himself and maybe come to come into a situation where he's not expected to be the starter right away, but he's given the chance immediately to earn playing time, earn rotational snaps, and then inherit a much larger role the following season. So it's a guy like that I'd keep an eye out for. And I think the hope is just that, hey, look, you can get here and you can solidify the rotation alongside Gentry and Bowen and Jacoby Johnson and give us somebody else that we can throw out there. No reservations whatsoever, anytime, even against top-tier SEC opponents in crucial moments, and you're going to be able to hold your own.
What does that mean for Jacoby Johnson? And, a guy like Cortland Guillory? I'm a guy that would really like for Cortland Guillory to get as many reps as possible, right? In order to develop that depth, and not push him down and almost not punish, but like at least not reward him for having a great spring, right? Obviously, you're going to deal with injuries at the position like you will every position. That's just college football. But like, where do you see this going with guys like that? Because at a certain point, if you start to get people recruiting over you, then especially if you're Jacoby Johnson, it's not his first year in the program. And, this may at least optically be them recruiting over Jacoby Johnson.
Yeah.
Where do you think his headspace is, especially how they've kind of toyed with him, offense, defense, what's going on there?
Yeah, well, I think if that's something Jacoby Johnson looks sideways at, the communication to him, the message to him should be, hey, we need 4 corners. And you do, right? You need 4 corners in the SEC. That 4th corner right now, besides Gentry and Eli and Jacoby Johnson, it may very well be Cortland Guillory, but do you want to bank on that? He's done some great things in spring ball. He's still a true freshman. We saw very little of Davon Jordan and of Jeremiah Newcomb last year. So again, do you really want to bank on it? That's probably not something, just given the level of competition that you're facing week in and week out, probably not a road you want to go down. You want to have an experienced option, somebody that isn't going to be in over their head, isn't going to back down from the competition. And even though Cortland Guillory's done all the right things, I do think it unwise to bank on a true freshman being able to do all the same things when the lights are on that he did during spring ball when he's going up against his own guys, his own teammates, his own friends. And maybe he's capable of that, right? Maybe he is. But you also have to account for the possibility that he is not.
Mark, here's a question for you from OU Revenge Tour. Says, how many more portal departures do you think OU has?
So as of today, you have Devon Mitchell, you have Jocelyn Malaskin, you have Sam Franklin in the portal. Those are the 3 so far. I expect
Michael Patterson McDonald's in the portal,
and
Pete Shue.
Yeah. No, Pete Shue. Yeah.
So Pete Shue and McDonald. So we're at 5, right?
I would expect 3 to 5 more right now.
3 to 5.
That's my expectation. That number could grow. It could, let's say Oklahoma has what they feel like is an upgrade lined up on the cheap at a given position in the portal, and they think, oh, this guy offers more promise in terms of his ability to crack our rotation at this position than this other guy who's on the roster. We probably need to tell this guy to walk, even if we weren't planning on it going into the portal window. So the rough ballpark I would give is 3 to 5, but that number could grow realistically.
Gotcha.
Are you surprised that we haven't seen more today?
Am I surprised?
Like bigger announcements. Are you?
No, I'm not really surprised. Exit meetings are going on all week, so there will be entries happening on different timetables, and obviously as to how and when and how quickly the paperwork gets processed, that can always be unpredictable, right? And there are 2 guys that might file their paperwork at the same time, and one's in the portal within 20 minutes, and the other one, it takes 2 days. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. So Got 3 today. 5, I guess. Lest I disregard Michael Patterson, McDonald, and Pete Shoes. So I got 5. I would imagine over the next couple of days, you will see more on whatever timetables those may be. I don't know, but they always tend to sort of trickle out.
If you had your pick, you were only allowed to have one other position. Who was the one position you would fill?
So what do you mean here?
If we were like, hey, we're going to roll with everybody we got right now moving forward, and you had to go pick up one person to add to the current roster out of the portal, what position? I'm not going to hold you to a player name, but what position is an absolute must get right now for Parker Thune?
Though I want to say tight end, give me another cornerback. I just think you absolutely have to have more depth than you feel like you need at cornerback in the SEC.
Kirby wants to know why
Parker likes what he sees from Will Huggins.
Why Davon left. He says surely Kanik is not a better tight end than him.
Based on where they were repping and where they fell on the depth chart in spring, Jaren Kanik was a better tight end than Devon Mitchell. At least that's what the spring depth chart would have indicated, but not it. It had nothing to do with that and just everything to do with the fact that, and we discussed it on OUinsider.com. I believe we discussed on the Under the Visor podcast. He wasn't asked to leave. The program jumped through a lot of hoops to try and make it work for Devon Mitchell, but the boiling point, if you will, was when they told him, hey, you're going to come in, you're going to do some extra workouts, you're going to sit out a few practices as a disciplinary measure because you've missed too many meetings, missed too many workouts. This can't continue. We're going to take punitive measures, and you're going to have an opportunity to get this thing back on track. And from what I understand, he just wasn't receptive to that. He said, no, I'm going to walk. So what can you do?
Well,
it will be interesting to see. He will have suitors just based on some ceiling there.
No doubt.
I'm not sure what his market will be, but he's got a lot of eligibility left. He's an athlete for sure. He's probably, I would imagine he might trim up a little bit, knowing that he's got he's now back out on the free agent market. So Tom Dunning asks Tom Dunning photo asks a good question. What's Andy Bass's future at OU, Parker?
Well, he's got to get healthy first, and then we can discuss that. But they like Andy Bass a lot. That's not your standard run-of-the-mill preferred walk-on. That's somebody that I do think has the potential to be a backfield cog for Oklahoma a year or two down the road. Now, it doesn't set up all too well for him in 2025, but again, you're going to let him recover at his own pace, and you want him to be able to recover at his own pace. So probably take expectations off the table for 2025 anyway, as Jaden Ott and Gavin Sawchuk and Javonte Barnes and Xavier Robinson shoulder the load between them. Moving ahead to 2026, though, I mean, Barnes is going to be done. Jaden Ott's going to be done. Sawchuk may still be around, certainly, and the odds are Xavier Robinson is. Torrey Blaylock will be. But you can see at that point, like 2026, things open up a little bit for Andy Bass to potentially elbow his way into some playing time in that backfield.
I got you. The Sooner Cowboys ask, should OU kick the tires on Jonte Cook or Micah Hudson? I imagine it's a resounding no from everybody up here.
Oh my goodness.
Hudson probably over Jonte Cook, but
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that, like, it did not get off the ground, but I know there was a Jonte Cook conversation had in the Switzer Center. I know that actually was a conversation that was had.
Interesting.
But well, that's a guy who would be budget friendly, most likely. Considering
and honestly, like my first thought, right, is like especially if you go and grab another experienced receiver in the portal just to shore up your depth, and you feel like you have one more spot, and Oklahoma may go and pursue a second receiver. If you're going to go pursue a second receiver in the portal, I wouldn't hate the idea of just taking a flyer on a guy like Jonte Cook, right? Because he's uber talented. He is uber talented. He's probably going to be very cheap. And you just kind of hope that with the sole mission and the off-field support staff and all the structure you have at Oklahoma, that you can keep his eyes on the prize. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But at that point, that feels like a risk that you can afford to take with what would be your 15th scholarship spot for a wide receiver.
Oklahoma in high school was his dream school, he said, in his recruiting process. He said, it's my dream school. He said a lot on Twitter after that. He said a lot on Twitter about a lot of things. But he did at one point say that it was his dream school. I think, let's see how this lands with you guys. Say we get an experienced or at least a productive wide receiver out of the portal. Say it's, Xavier Lloyd, and you still want to take another receiver. How do we feel about waiting until he maybe graduates, but adding a Keon Brown down the road, but waiting until he graduates to make sure that he does, and so you can monitor the wide receiver injuries that you have in the room? I think doing something like that might buy you some time down the road to say, hey, Keon, go ahead. We're going to wait. Go ahead and graduate. But it lets you assess your room and kick that can further down the road, knowing that he would jump at the opportunity to get back into Norman's fold. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I'll chime in on that, and then I'm going to have to bounce out to get to our live stream over at the OU Insider YouTube channel. But with regard to Keon Brown, that whole conversation has kind of been tabled indefinitely. Again, it's a situation where I think if you do go and add an experienced portal receiver, and it's not going to be Xavier Lloyd at this point, but if you do go add another experienced portal receiver, and that's number 14 in the group, you feel like you have a surplus of depth enough that you can comfortably say, okay, even if things do kind of go haywire and we do experience a few injuries, we're still going to be able to trot out some guys that are capable pass catchers in this league. And you feel like we can accommodate a 15th scholarship guy on the roster, then somebody like Keon Brown, man, especially if he does graduate and he gets the grade straight, yep, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, because Keon Brown, the football player, man, exceptional talent. Exceptional talent. And there's always been a bit of a different story, but Keon Brown, the football player, man, that guy can make plays. So I am not at all opposed. I mean, whether it's Jonte Cook or Trajan Bridges or Keon Brown or Micah Hudson or insert your favorite reclamation project here, I am all in favor of, if Oklahoma gets to the point where they want to take a 15th scholarship receiver, just really rolling the dice and taking a chance on a guy that could be a major boom or a major bust.
Yeah. Well, Park, we appreciate you coming on the show, bro.
Good.
Yes, sir. Y'all take it easy, all right?
Yep.
All right. Later, bro. Yeah, I wonder who our other wide receiver targets are, considering he says we're out on Xavier Lloyd. I think we're getting priced out on that. I think an Illinois State wide receiver was like, oh, here's a budget-friendly guy after we just spent on running back. And then all of a sudden, all these other people start jumping in the boat. And he said, well, I think I'm going to visit a couple other schools, Louisville, Arkansas, South Carolina, some other SEC schools. So when that happens, price goes up, right? So when you're talking about the 14th and 15th scholarship spots, roster spots, if you will, a wide receiver, you can't really spend the big bucks because you don't know what Giovanni Gibson's going to be like when he comes back or when he comes back. That's really the key to this, because, before the injury, everybody's saying, oh, he's going to be out till November. And then Brent says, by the way, in surgery, the doctor said that he's going to recover and be back by the beginning of the season. Like, that's a significantly different timeline for post-surgery. So if he's back, I think OU feels a lot better about their wide receivers. I think you saw what Emmett posted today about Eli Thomas. that video of him. I think they like Manny Choice. I think Eli's a bit more college ready. But, you've got Zion Kearney and Ivan Carrion and, Deion Burke should be back healthy and featured a ton, right? So got a lot of dudes over there, but you would like a guy that's had a bit of production. And there are hundreds. There's maybe 1,000 wide receivers in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Which sounds crazy, but I'm pretty sure there's like nearly 3,000 people in the portal. It feels like a third of those are wide receivers. So I know we like the idea of, Trajan. Like, okay, well, it's, again, reclamation project. Got Jonte Cook, reclamation project. You've got John Brown, if he can make grades. And that's why I said wait till he graduate. If he can graduate, then he's got the grades. Then he can just transfer in. So I would wait on that personally. But anyways, I don't know. I think being better at OC, being better at quarterback, being better at offensive line is going to pay dividends for all of our pass catchers, because we pushed a lot of guys out there that were not ready to play last year, down our top 5 guys, down our top 6 guys at one point. Offensive line was a mess. Play calling was a mess. Quarterback play was a mess. So I don't know. You have to assume all of that will benefit the wide receivers. PSS says, tired of it, y'all. Optimism is frankly unfounded with anything wide receiver related. I mean, yeah, I guess, but like I said, if you bring in Arbuckle, who made worse receivers than what we have, look really good, and then you've got a better quarterback that led the nation in touchdowns last year. You've got an improved offensive line. As long as everybody stays healthy, then there's no reason to not maybe optimistic isn't the word, but I think it's just logical to expect them to be better. I think you can just follow regular logic that wide receivers will be better this year because of all of the things that a wide receiver relies on. All of those things are better.
You know what it smells like to me, Travis? It smells like 2022 when we had so many people doubting our wide receiver room. And there was, I think, some decent reason for that. You had unproven guys, certainly, and we lost some guys. And so I feel like we're in the same boat. We've lost some guys. Obviously, things didn't go as planned last year. And now you have a bunch of unproven guys. Granted, I know that, one of the guys we had hoped and have been hearing a lot of good things is unfortunately very injured right now, Giovanni Gibson. But just because that's the case does not mean that, the wide receiver room can be very productive and very good. Because, again, 2022, it was, oh, my gosh, like the wide receivers are in. And then in 2023, they turned into, one of the best rooms in college football. Certainly, they were probably the best room in the Big 12 that year. Going into last season, it was believed we probably had, a top 3 wide receiver in the SEC and top 10 for sure in college football. And so we'll see. We just got to wait and see, which is fine. I'm fine with you saying that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with people being optimistic about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I explain it over and over, JP. I am optimistic because I cannot go through all summer being pessimistic. It is bad for my mental health to just be down about everything, just be negative about everything. I am part of the, reason I've been able to build such good relationships and be generally happy all the time is because I try and look at the positive in things, and don't worry about things that I can't control and just hope for the best. I think, some people, they get worked up about stuff in the program and they get worked up in their personal lives. They get worked up, they get mad, and they can't do a damn thing about it. And I can't do a damn thing about it. I can help, put out information and try and, in an entertaining way, hopefully. But, when people just are negative, I'm like, first of all, I pray for your friends and family if they got to be around you all the time. And also, like, you can't control it. What's the point of whining all the time? I don't know.
Yeah.
That little rant.
You're
But
right.
yes, I will forever be optimistic.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, Chad. Half of these people aren't even really like that in I think real life. And PSS, this is not at you, by the way. This is just this attitude in general that we've been dealing with since, obviously him and I have become, friends, brothers, everything like that, and started this podcast. Like, it's just we have collectively been dubbed sunshine pumpers, both even before we, started to be JP and Trav. Like, we were seen as that, and now obviously since we've had this podcast and done things, we're even more seen as that. And I just think it's because, like, we choose to who we are, like, in real life is who we are. That's why he's Travis Davidson, Travis Cole on Twitter. Yeah, I'm Indy Sooner, but I'm JP. It's my personal account. Like, I'm who I am. I post my family on there because that's who I am. I don't hide behind something, and I don't rant on Twitter about, like, a bunch of stuff all the time. You know what I mean? I feel like,
well, you be ranting about Texas fans. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. That's different, though. I'm coming at them. That's different. that is me standing up for my team. So I'm not being negative about my team. But regardless,
my favorite thing, dude. I shared a tweet about the Rory, Rory crying, walking off the green, and it was like Sooner fans when they see, just in the last few weeks, Elias Chavez, right, Tay Davis, Xavier Brown, Nigel Pack, Jaden Ott, Jake Michaela, and all of those people are highly talented. One's the number one player in women's basketball, in high school basketball, number one recruit in the country. You've got awesome portal commits through basketball. You've upgraded at every position of people that left you in the transfer portal. And then obviously Jaden Ott and Jake Michaela are big ads. And people are like, oh, man, I'm not going to be excited until or I'm not going to be happy about this until it translates to win. I'm like, you're not happy that OU is adding talented players? Do you think we're a better football team with Jaden Ott and Jake Michaela, or do you think we got worse because of it? I was like, what a weird thing to be like. And I think it's a point of pride at times. That's like, I've got higher standards than you, simpletons. Yeah. I'm like, dude, just be happy about stuff. But
we have standards.
Yeah,
it's we're blue blood fans. I have standards. I'm sorry that I have standards. Oh my gosh, if I could.
Right. Hey, I've always said to those people, I hope you hold yourself to the same standards that you do Oklahoma football, which means you ought to be retired, sipping out of a coconut somewhere by the age of 25. Yeah. Did you see this? The OKC is added to the World Cup base camp list. So the Oklahoma City Metro added to the World Cup 26 base camp. The world's best international teams could be coming to Oklahoma for the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup. FIFA has approved OKC's pro soccer training facility and OU athletics complexes as eligible national team base camp training. How cool is that? You might have World Cup teams practicing at OU.
That's fancy.
Wow. Never would have guessed that. So shout out Matthew Mott. And this is a thing that, like, I know he catches a lot, but this is the stuff that, like, Joe C., Joe Harris, those guys, this is what they can facilitate. These are big moves. These are big marketing moves, right? Showcasing things like this. Like, when you look at all of these acquisitions, looking pretty good right now, huh? That Nagy hire is looking pretty forward-thinking. Looking pretty good, and that's good because we've already sold. For those of you that don't know, I'll keep putting it out there. OU Club of Tulsa is hosting Joe Castiglione at our fireside chat. I will be conducting a fireside chat with Joe Castiglione Thursday, the 24th, the same day as the first round. So next week, be sitting down with Joe C. We've got some questions for him. Going to be going back and forth on that. And anyways, just really excited. Already sold 65 tickets to that. We're cutting it off at 80. So it's just about filled up with still a little bit over a week to sell. So exciting times.
That's going to be so
exciting
fun.
times. I'm thrilled about it. Continue to build out, that club. I'm excited to be vice president of that club and think we're going to keep growing it and growing it. So what's Ryan C. got to say?
I rather listen to a bunch of sunshine pumping.
Listen to a bunch of sunshine.
Flow of negative sky falling crap. Sometimes people want you to fail just to be right. I appreciate what you all do. I mean, that's all we're saying. It does seem like that's how some people want to be is, well, I was right.
No, it's a very good point about, they told you so. People are, they'll have a negative take, and if it goes wrong, they can't wait to tell you about it. And they would rather be right than to be fans of a successful program. But it's also, so they talk about it in an improv comedy, right? It's move the conversation forward. Like always say yes, always be, always be open to new ideas, open. So like you're taught to say yes a lot in like improv comedy. So with this, like yes is on the positive side. So if we were negative and thought, hey, we're not going to be excited about these additions, then we wouldn't do a show. We would just fire it up in the season and do reaction videos because there'd be nothing to talk about. Because everybody like, well, I'm saving judgment. I'm saving judgment until I see it. Okay, well then we just won't talk about anything. But where was Kirby? Let me scroll up to your question about player assistant GM options if we could choose one. Oh, here it is. Basketball programs for Trae Young, and it's paying off. Oh, sorry. Basketball program for Trae Young is paying off. Max Crosby just got an assistant GM job too. What are the possibilities of OU football doing the same, and who would you want it to be? JP, you go first. I feel like there's one obvious answer, but
yeah, I mean, obviously, Gerald McCoy has been very vocal, in that realm. I mean, I think he obviously would be good. Now, if we're talking about a current player specifically,
well, because that's what Max Crosby is, and that's what Trae is. And that's what Steph is. Yeah. Baker's probably being AGM would be the one for me. He's outspoken. He loves OU. He grew up an OU fan. He'd be able to sell the program. He's the face of a franchise, much like Trae Young is the face of the franchise. Max Crosby is the face of that franchise. Steph Curry is the face of the Warriors, one of the faces of the NBA. So I think it would have to be Baker. I do think because because in order for it to be a Crosby and Young guy, it has to be an active player. So makes sense to be Baker. It would be, I mean, imagine if you're any player, he gets so many people fired up. If you put him on a Zoom call with somebody, that would be crazy. If in the offseason he got to do an in-home with Ben Arbuckle, that would be crazy. And he can talk publicly. Like he's a good spokesperson. Like CD, I don't see him speaking in a lot of commercials. I like CD a lot. Adrian, we don't see him speaking in a lot of commercials. Adrian would be crazy though. Just if you were to bring on a couple of them, Adrian would be nuts because like when Baker comes to OU events, he gets mobbed. Trae gets mobbed. Sure. Adrian can't get into the stadium.
Yeah.
Because he's so popular.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people just don't realize the star power that being an NFL Hall of Famer gets you. And I mean, he just gets mobbed. I mean, last time he was supposed to come to a game, and he was supposed to come in with Switzer. He couldn't get to town in time, but it's like he couldn't get into the stadium. He got mobbed. They were like, no, we got to turn it away. And I think Kirby's missing my point. It's not about just doing commercials. It's about how often do you see – I mean, Trey is on podcasts all the time. Just how often are you speaking in public? Because there is a lot of speaking and recruiting and things like that. You have to be an extrovert. Trey's an extrovert. Baker's an extrovert.
Yes.
Is CD? I don't know. We have no way to know. But Boz is good to be around the program. I don't think he has any interest in being a GM, specifically because I think I don't think there's any former player that's more disgusted with the current landscape of college sports than Brian Bosworth. Like just from what he played for Oklahoma and the pride that he has in Oklahoma, the transactional side of the sport, he might be charged with a felony. If he might commit a felony if some kid walks in and be like, hey, Boz, how much y'all gonna pay me? Like Boz might smoke him. So we also have to think of the safety. Yeah. He'll turn off the body cam. The sheriff, it'd be a problem. So Boz, I love him to death. I love me some Brian Bosworth, but it would be a problem if he was in charge of it. But I think Baker's the obvious answer. He's relatable. He's a star. He can sell Oklahoma like nobody else. He's got money to donate to NIL if he wants to do the Trey Young thing of dropping a little money in the pot. He's got a great relationship with the nonprofits here, much like Trey does. So I think that's the easiest comparison.
Yeah, that's fair. Les asked, so when Tatum and Gibson hit the portal, will fans freak out?
Whoa. Les Wilson reporting it? When? Let's go with if.
Yeah. I don't
Les
think
Wilson reporting. You heard it here first from Les.
Yeah. I don't think Gibson would be a freak out just because obviously the reports of him suffering setbacks and things of that nature, it's frustrating, and you just can't bank on him being the same guy, unfortunately, which really, really sucks. And then Tatum, I mean, I think we all know Tatum is talented, but he had a lot of fumbling issues, and obviously with Ott coming in, you have Ott is a guy that is a guaranteed NFL guy at and I mean the way he was tracking, a lot of people saw him as high round, right, running back, namely our current GM.
Yeah. So, right. People had him as like a second round guy. Somebody told me today that Ott isn't going to be drafted. I'm like, all right, I will put any amount of money you're comfortable with that Jaden Ott will be drafted. That's ridiculous. So, I don't know. With Tatum with baseball, he hasn't played yet. He, from what I can tell, and you guys know me, I'm a baseball guy. I go to as many games as I can over from Tulsa. I will go to road games. I've been to a road game this year. I don't think Taylor Tatum travels with the team. And I looked it up earlier today. 34 players can travel to away games. So Tatum is not one of the 34 people that makes it to away games. So while I think that his future, if he has a future professionally, I believe his future professionally is baseball. Because I think he loves baseball more than he loves football. But I don't think it's a situation where, like, if he transferred, because baseball NIL money isn't what football NIL money is, I don't think financially he could just say, hey, I'm going to enter the transfer portal, or I'm not going to answer the transfer portal. I'm just not going to be on the football team. I'm just going to go full baseball. I think he'll want to monetize his football side somewhere while also playing baseball somewhere. If that makes sense. When you're splitting time, you have to work twice as hard to make it, unless you're Kyler or Bo Jackson.
Right.
And they still worked hard. Like, Kyler's a hard worker. I know he likes Call of Duty, but he's a hard worker too. So, like, you have to be an extremely hard worker, and you have to love both of them. And I just don't know if Taylor Tatum loves both of them, and I'm not sure if he has worked twice as hard as a one-sport athlete.
Yeah.
I don't know those things, but I know that I've not seen him travel with the baseball team.
Yeah.
Which means he's not a factor.
And I'm not reporting nothing. I just know allegedly, you know, the streets say that, you know, he might have a little attitude. So the streets say, you know, I don't know.
Attitude. Man, I've not heard that. The streets got my number, man. Streets gotta hit me up. But a little bit of an attitude. I don't know. I think it's possible that it is the case that you see often with 5 stars that are so just supremely talented and can reach 5-star status, or reach high ranking status, high rated status. Like, sometimes it's just God-given talent.
Right.
And then when you try and split time at an SEC level, this isn't just D1 level, this SEC level, SEC football and SEC baseball.
It's another level on top of that.
It's a completely different level. So when you're doing that, you have to have good, solid work ethic, study habits, everything like that. I know people I went to high school with, and I struggle with this at times. I took all AP classes in high school, passed all my AP tests, took 10 AP tests, passed them all. I struggled to develop good study habits because things just kind of came kind of easily to me. So I struggled more in new environments than people that had to develop organization and study habits and flashcards and all this kind of stuff. I never did that until college. So, anyways, like Taylor Tatum, he's just so talented that I think he was able to ride that all the way to a number 1 running back in the class. Does he have elite work ethic? Does he have elite study habits? I don't know. But I think if he did, I think you'd see him at least traveling with the baseball team. And I'm not sure that we would have gone and gotten Jaden Ott if he was.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, you just have to look at the facts, right? You just have to look at the logical. You have to logical conclusion is if OU went and got Jaden Ott, if Xavier Robinson's running with 1s, if he doesn't travel with the baseball team, there's something going on, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yes, Kirby.
We'll see. I'm
sick. I have a runny nose. You ain't have to put me on blast. You have to throw my stuff out there, dog. Dang.
I have not seen Field Yates mocked us, Billy Bowman. I certainly would be buying that jersey. I will tell you that much. A white Vikings Billy Bowman jersey would go crazy hard. That would be awesome. Taylor Tatum, like Deion Sanders. I don't think he's the athlete that Deion is, because Deion, special kind of athlete. Deion obviously played professionally in 2 sports at the same time. I don't think that Taylor Tatum will be doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to do. I mean, Kyler did it well, you know. That's why he was drafted in the top 10 in both the NBA, NFL, and MLB.
Yeah, number 1 Number 1 in top 10.
It's crazy.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, be a 30 for 30 something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's you got to bust your ass
Yeah.
to do it.
Got
And
to.
I'm just not sure he has. He could be, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm surprised that, like I said, Parker said exit meetings when
anybody that
SEC,
transfers
baby.
now is not going to go to an SEC team. That's a rule. So we wouldn't see him, as opposed to, well, unless you guys are talking about Bauer Sharp and Nick Anderson and Jackson, which you know what, let's talk about good old Jackson and the apparently real quote, as Steely had mentioned today, that there's audio about that was said, and it's just something.
Yeah, I wasn't able to. Yeah, I think it shows a lack of accountability and a lack of awareness. But hey, that's kind of par for the course so far, right? I can admit, I'm man enough to admit, Seth Littrell and Joe John did not put him in the best position to succeed.
They
didn't put him in the best position to be developed. The offensive line was injured. His top 6 wide receivers were out.
Yes.
I'm not sure many quarterbacks could have succeeded in that environment. But Jackson didn't help himself. Not at all. We probably, if he just holds on to the ball, we might win 2 more games. But the turnovers were an issue. The lack of vision was an issue. He might be good at Auburn. I don't know. But early reports out of there, he hasn't been great. So that job might be up for grabs. Who knows? But yeah, that quote was pretty wild, man.
Yeah. To me, it just screamed so out of, like you said, out of touch. Like we were 3-0, and then we're at Tennessee, and I have a bad half, and I get benched. Like, bro, no, listen to me, listen to us. The first 3 games, you wasn't lighting it up. It's not like you was lighting it up. You wasn't even doing as well. People were calling for Spencer a few years ago when Trav and I first started doing these shows. People were calling for Spencer. You remember that, Trav? To be put down. Not put down. That's extreme. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. To be
Jeez. But good Lord. But you remember what Spencer has said in interviews since? Hey, we were 8-0 whenever I was starting. We were 8-0 in my starts. Like, he said that, and it's like, dude, we were literally known as the worst 8-0 team in college football history. The fakest 8-0 team.
It was,
and then you got benched because you were going to lose to Texas, and then Caleb came back and won the game for you. Like, but just the revisionist history. That's the problem with records, man. Like, Jackson barely beat the first 3 teams, and they're like, hey, like, we're 3-0. I did my job. Like, no, bro, you didn't.
Bro, you didn't. And the fact that, like, it's not just that you had you had a catastrophic half. We're talking about things that you just couldn't believe you were seeing. Like, after a turnover, another turnover literally happening twice in that game. And that's just the fan perspective, right, Trav? And then you go and you listen to the Oklahoma breakdown with 2 former All-Americans, and the probably smartest center that Oklahoma's maybe ever had, obviously in our lifetimes, is literally telling us that it's the worst half of football he's seen from a Sooner quarterback ever. Ever. Like even just the reads, even the RPO reads, stuff he's supposed to know, he didn't do. So that made it even worse. And so now he's saying like, "Oh, I had a bad." No, bro, it wasn't just a bad half, and you weren't playing amazing before that. Like the team was 3-0 because the defense was freaking good. Like that. That's why.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and that's the problem. It's not too different than people talk about Nico. Well, Nico led them to 10-2. No, bro. Nico didn't do anything in those SEC games. He stunk. Like they had the best running back in the SEC, like all SEC first team running back, and they had like a top 2 or 3 defense in the SEC with NFL players all over it. So like Nico was not the reason they were winning, but everybody's like, well, Nico is an elite quarterback that led them to 10-2. Like, bro, just say you don't watch college football. Like, just say you don't watch college football. It is way easier, and we'll get to the point much quicker if you just say you don't watch college football. Yeah. Just like people say, well, Jackson was 3-0. Yeah, watch the games. Hashtag watch the games, as J-Dub says.
I mean, just Tennessee and Missouri alone, like even coming back, he was a lot better because they simplified some things. But like I don't even want to go back there because it makes me mad all over again the way that game went down. So, but yeah, I do think it's interesting. Real quick, let's hit this and then we can skedaddle. I'm interested in the chat's views on it as well. Really quickly, do you think that Nico's already obviously at UCLA, so yes, it's in the Big Ten, it's another Power 5, but do we know what the deal was? Do we have any idea? Have you seen anything
about the UCLA?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they just took a quarterback from Appalachian State, paying him $1 million, and that contract's already good. So now the people that are like, oh, they've signed like UCLA, they're saying there's still things to work out. Chris Lowe from ESPN is refuting Colin Cowherd's report because who the hell trusts Colin Cowherd? On anything. Like that's not a done deal at UCLA because now this App State quarterback is talking to other teams. He's like, all right, well, hell, if y'all want to go with Nico, like I'm a bounce. Like, see you guys later. Have fun with Nico's camp because they might opt out of every game. I like how somebody said if he goes to UCLA, at least they won't have to worry about him opting out of a bowl game.
Yeah.
Or opting out of the playoff. But it was absolutely about money. Like all the people, it was about the Tennessee offense. BS. They recruited you out of high school. The only reason you went there is because of the money. They paid you an $8 million contract, and then you get there, you play in the offense for a year, you're not great in it, and then you say you leave because of the offense? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's still trying to save face and act like they're not the problem. And it's just zero accountability. If any of them just stood up and said, hey, look, we screwed up. We overplayed our hand. And we're going to get out of the way and we're going to let him play football. We're going to let him try and realize his dreams of reaching the NFL. They would do that and they would do it publicly. Instead, they keep on doubling and tripling down that it really was never about the money, which everybody knows is a bold-faced lie.
Yep. You had $2 million, bro. Why? How would it not be about the money? Are you for real?
And you kept going and asking for raises. Like you kept going and asking for raises. Like you didn't go and I asked coach to change the offense. No, you kept on going to ask for raises. Was your reasoning, hey, I want to get paid more because this offense blows? No.
Yeah.
It was I want to get paid more because I feel like I've earned it.
Now I feel like the Tennessee.
It is a bummer.
I'm looking forward to go to Tennessee.
No, I'm excited about it. But I was hoping. I'm bummed if UCLA does actually sign him because I was really hoping he'd end up at like Tarleton State or something like that, and just had to get it out the mud. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you're paying for $14 an hour, buddy. Like, time to lock in.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But all right. Oh, PSS, it's definitely gonna be a 30 for 30. That's guaranteed. that's a guarantee.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the first of its kind. So, but all right. We appreciate your guys' support. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. It's almost 2,000 of y'all in here, so we appreciate those who came live and those who, if you didn't get it or if you want to listen again, make sure you head over to YouTube. I know, again, we've kind of, in a way, not intentionally, but obviously a lot of people, it's just easier access on Twitter, which I 100% get. And numbers have been very good on Twitter. It has dipped down the YouTube numbers a little bit, though, and not that that matters a bunch. But, hey, if you get to go over and check it out on YouTube, go do it. And, make sure you're sharing it to your family, friends, if they have some extra things, or a show that they just want to get in tune with. That's just a casual fan-led show where we, just try to speak our opinions. So, Trav, you got anything for the people? Hey, man, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got to tell them about my haircut I got today.
Indeed.
So, yep. So, yeah, I got bills to pay too, But anyways, got the fresh beard trim, got it all going today. I've had the same barber for the better part of the last 10 years. His name is Easton. If you follow me on my social media, you've definitely seen him before. You saw him wax my eyebrows a couple weeks ago. I'm not Anthony Davis. I don't have an insured unibrow or anything, so I take care of that. But he's been working at Boardroom Styling Lounge for a while now. I think 6 years now. And anyways, the folks over there are letting me give 20% off first service to all JP and Trav viewers. Just go to any Boardroom Styling Lounge nationwide. I think they got like 45, 46 locations. Go in, and then just use the code TRAV20 for 20% off your first service. So go check them out. They're great. Like I said, been with them a long time. So other than that, I don't have anything. I'm wearing a hat because I just got this new hat, and my barber also edges me up. So, that's why. That's why I got the fresh fade. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
I've got the fade. Don't worry about it. But University Traditions came out with this new hat, and I decided to wear it because I like it. So, okay, it's gone off the rails now with Kirby. So, anyways, thank you all. To the 2,000 of you watching right now, go to the YouTube, like the page. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Go to the YouTube, click the link, like the video. So, other than that, you got anything for the people, JP?
No, that's it, man. We appreciate y'all. And we'll see you guys back here Wednesday or Thursday. Again, Trav and I'll figure that out based off our schedules, but those will be one of the days that we'll be back. So appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Boomer.